Hello everyone! In this episode of the Animation Editor Pro Tutorials, we'll be focusing on the essentials. You'll learn your way around the add-ons interface and get acquainted with the primary operators that form the backbone of its workflow. First, let's look at the core element you'll be working with in the Animation Editor Pro add-on, the editor strip, which we'll often just call a strip. In the editor, the currently selected strip is highlighted with a blue background. Strip names are shown here. Editable strip names appear in white while non-editable ones are red. Additionally, if a strip is part of a composited track and isn't the leading strip, its name is preceded by this prefix. You can select a strip just by clicking on its name. This icon enables or disables the strip. When disabled, the strip has no effect during playback or baking. This operator opens the strip settings pop-up, where you can adjust its properties to suit your animation needs. This operator adds a new strip. If the editor is empty and the rig has an action assigned, it adds that action as a non-editable strip. Otherwise, if the editor already contains strips or the rig has no action assigned, it adds a new editable strip with a new action. This operator removes the selected strip. This operator moves the selected track up in the editor order. And this operator moves the selected track down in the editor order. This operator adds an existing action as a non-editable strip. This part of the interface is the track preview, offering a visual representation of your track structure and the strips inside. Understand that its primary role is display. You won't be able to select strips or alter their properties from within this preview section. Green bars represent editable strips, meaning you can add keyframes directly to them. Red bars are non-editable strips, often created using the Add and Editor strip from an existing action function. You can't add keyframes to these. When a strip uses blend in or blend out, you'll notice its start or end takes on a triangular, tapered shape. The length of this taper indicates the duration of the blend. Blue bars signify transition strips, used to create smooth blends from one strip to the next. Whichever strip is currently selected will be highlighted with a pink border. You'll see the strip's name or part of it written inside its bar. Look at the bottom left corner of the bars, you'll find small symbols there. These icons give you information about the strip's properties, such as whether in place is active, the extrapolation method, blend type, custom action frame range, and more. Check the manual for a guide to what each specific symbol represents. Lastly, that thin vertical line running through all the tracks is the timeline cursor, marking the current frame. It appears yellow when positioned within the time range of the currently selected strip and reddish or pinkish when it's outside that range. Let's take a quick look at some operators. Select the Sexy Walk strip. You can see the transition between the zombie and sexy walk is smooth, because we enabled Add Transition when adding the strip. Now, just for testing purposes, let's remove this transition. Click the Remove Transition operator and see what happens. Okay, the transition disappears from the track preview and from the overall animation. There it is, a gap where the characters snap back to a rest pose briefly. Let's fix this mess. Click the Add Transition operator, select the Time Gap option, keep same gap. Like magic, the transition reappears in the track preview. And the animation blends smoothly again. If you choose a different time gap size, the Sexy Walk strip will automatically shift forward or backward. If this happens, remember to manually adjust the Sexy Displacement strip's frame range to match the new timing of the Sexy Walk strip. Let's check another useful operator. First, we need to select some bones on the rig, let's say the arm bones. This operator copies the animation only from these selected bones into a brand new strip with its own new action. If you enable Extract Animation from Original, the animation for those bones will be removed from the original strip and its underlying action. Why do this? It lets you isolate parts of an animation. For example, you could separate the arm movements and then tweak their timing, influence, or even replace them entirely, giving the overall animation a different feel or tone. Okay, with the arm bones selected, click Copy Animation from Selected Bones. Enable Extract Animation from Original. We have a new strip, let's rename it to Sexy Walk Arms. Let's play the animation to see the changes. It's almost identical, but you might notice a small glitch in the arms right when the sexy walk starts. This happens because the original transition was based on the whole body movement. Now that the arms are separate, the transition doesn't fully account for them. Keep these small side effects in mind when working with transitions. Now let's see the potential of this technique. Select the new Sexy Walk Arms strip. By adjusting properties like influence on this separate strip, we can dramatically change the character's mood. Lowering the influence might make the arms swing less pronounced, changing the vibe from sexy perhaps towards outlaw or casual, and then back to sexy by increasing it again. Let's have some fun experimenting. Let's keep it sexy. If we mute the Sexy Walk Arms strip, the arms will revert to their rest pose, giving us that sexy outlaw look again, just walking with still arms. Unmute to bring the sexy arm swing back. This eye icon operator lets you hide or show the bones and rig interface in the viewport. Turning overlays off helps you see the animation more clearly without distractions. Turn it back on when you need to select bones for posing or keyframing. Let's try another operator. The Move Strip to New Track operator. This only works for strips that are part of a track containing multiple strips sequentially, like our track with Zombie Walk and Sexy Walk. Select Sexy Walk, for instance, and click the operator. As you can see, the selected strip was removed from its original track and placed in a completely new track. It keeps all its properties like frame range, repetitions, and others. However, since it's no longer directly following the zombie walk in the same track, the automatic transition we added is gone. Where the transition used to be, there's now an ugly gap with some rest pose movement before the sexy walk kicks in. You could fix this in several ways, perhaps by manually moving the sexy walk strip back to overlap slightly and adding blend in and out in the sexy and zombie walk strips respectively. But since this is just an operator test, we'll leave it like this for now. Let's quickly look at a few more handy tools. This is a utility operator to toggle the rotate gizmo on and off, useful for precise bone rotation. These operators quickly switch your 3D viewport to orthographic views, front, back, left, right, top, and bottom. Very helpful for posing. Now the Insert Keyframe operator. If the selected strip is not editable, like strips added from existing actions, this operator will be disabled. If the selected strip is editable, like our displacement strips or a new empty strip, it will be enabled. It can look two ways. A yellow diamond outlined in red. This means the current frame or timeline cursor is outside the selected strip's start-end range. The timeline cursor line will also appear reddish in the track preview. A yellow diamond outlined in black. This means the current frame is inside the selected strip's range. This is what you usually want. The timeline cursor line will appear yellow in the track preview. This operator lets you choose the default interpolation mode, like linear, constant, or Bezier, for newly inserted keyframes. Click and hold to see the options. This operator resets bone transforms. It snaps selected bones back to their default rest position. Remember, if you want this change to stick, you must insert a keyframe immediately after resetting, otherwise, the pose will be lost when you change frames. Clicking this operator hides all unselected bones, making it easier to focus on posing a specific part of the rig. Its counterpart brings all hidden bones back into view. Both are super useful for complex rigs. This operator symmetrizes the selected bones by copying the pose to their counterparts on the opposite side, left arm pose copied to the right arm, for example. This requires your bones to follow a standard left-right naming convention. These arrow operators change the current frame to the very first or very last frame of your scene's animation range. This operator zooms out the graphical view of the strips in the editor panel. And this one zooms in. You might need to adjust the sidebar width to see the full detail when zoomed in. Finally, let's test the bake operator. This merges all the visible and unmuted editor strips into a single new action. We'll enable the only selected bones option. Notice that the clear editor strips option is enabled by default. This means after baking, our entire Animation Editor Pro strip layout will be clear out. There we have it. The entire track layout has been baked into one new action, but only containing animation for the selected arm bones. Since clear editor strips was enabled, our editor setup is gone. Only the arms are animated, exactly as expected. To see the arm animation more clearly, let's reset all bone transforms first. Hide the overlays. And play it again. We can clearly see the zombie walk arm motion, then the awkward gap where the transition was removed earlier, followed by the sexy walk arm motion. Okay, that concludes our look at these core features for now. I really appreciate you watching. The hope is that you're now feeling more confident and inspired to start experimenting with Animation Editor Pro on your own animations. Remember, there are other tutorials in this series covering different aspects if you want to learn more. Go on, give it a try and see what kind of results you can achieve. And if anything wasn't clear or you have further questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments.